Hello, fellow heroes. What is going on? How's everyone doing today? We're on a new day. We're on a new schedule. We've been doing the things. Bex subscribing. Thank you, Bex, for the 14-month subscription. Watch this. From here to the end of the year, we're going to the moon. Trust me. Consistent schedule. Catch me from 8 to 9 p.m. every Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to be there. I'm going to be here. We're going to have some fun. We have the new evening schedule has been working out for me. And today, of all things, so today we are looking at, that's right, every D&D class ranked by combat ability. This is by what, cbr.com? I find this stuff on Google, and then then we judge it. We'll see what class is good. I mean, if it's the best class, you gotta play it, right? Personally, every D&D class ranked by combat ability. Combat ability. So, what are we talking about whenever we talk about like combat ability? In my opinion, someone that doesn't fall off, someone that will do a lot of damage, and someone that has agency to their kit. What do I mean by agency? Well, really someone that can add something to the battlefield. Someone that can either, whether it be like status effects or basically that's it, status effects. That fits everything. But that be like stunning, charming, giving buffs or debuffs and things of that nature. And you look at like spellcasters, they have a lot of agency to them, but they're very vulnerable when it comes to attacks. They may be really good at taking out other martial classes, but getting hit by another spellcaster, and they're really weak and they're really soft, and then, you know, they become kind of a hassle sometimes, as powerful as they can be. And then you have other characters like rogues who also have a lot of agency. And however, they're kind of like a one-note character. They're really good when it comes to RP ability checks and things of that nature, saving throws. But when it comes to combat, they're itching for that sneak attack. They're having to play in stealth. Maybe some areas work better for them than others. And then you have characters that are kind of like all round, where you have like the ranger or the fighter who can pick up spells and use martial weapons. But I think when it really comes down to it, a character who probably has the overall best combat ability, as much I want to give it to a fighter. However, I think a fighter fails most average fighters. I'm not saying like, oh, this specific class, right? If I'm just talking subclass. If I'm just talking subclass to subclass, that's a different story. But I'm just talking about the class in general. I think fighters definitely could fall off against other spellcasters. With rangers, I think rangers could be stronger, but there's a meta way into building a ranger, right? Like, I feel like you could mess up building a fighter, and it would still be better than if you messed up building a ranger. So you take, I think, someone who takes a mix of between being a spellcaster, who has the agency of a spellcaster, but who has the flexibility of a martial character, and really you're looking at some of the more holy characters like a cleric or a paladin. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like when it comes to combat prowess, those two tend to have it all. And I think you can really mix and match with the subclasses, but you know, me personally, I'm thinking I like barbarian rogue. That's what I lean towards. But I think a paladin might be the class with the most agency behind it. So here we go. Bards lack much at will damage. Yeah, I don't see a bard being a damaged person. They're really back in the support, so having them at the 13th slot makes sense. When it comes to combat prowess, bards can do a lot when it comes to RP. Bards can do a lot when it comes to supporting people in a character, but if they're by themselves or if they go on a solo mission, you know, they're probably going to struggle a little bit. Right here it says the class is typically an example of an all-rounder character who can do everything. Yeah. Master of jack of all trades, master of none. Which honestly, when I first started playing D&D, the bard class was the most like appealing class to me. It was, and I think it still is. I think I would definitely love to pick up a bard, a very aggressive aggro bard, because yeah, they're jack of all trades kind of things. Bard's the only class to lack significant weapon damage, which is the downside to being a bard. But you make up for it with your creativity. You make that you know, that's where you get it back, as you pull out the creative juices that flow in there behind that. Their more martial subclasses fall off later game, and that is an issue. You know, picking up a class and having it fall off later on is how long is okay. We're good. Artificers are support characters with some combat potential. I think artificers have a lot of combat potential. You kind of got to min-max a artificer to get that combat potential out, but a lot like the bard, the artificer has definitely a lot of like supporting roles, definitely equipping out their characters and being always kind of having an answer for everything, just being able to build something, kind of preparing beforehand. I like artificers. I think artificers are really cool, and they have a cool place to be in the game. I think the artificer class needs to go into other RPG realms like World of Warcraft or MMOs, where you know they're already using these techno babble people. You should have a class that's all about technology, and basically I just want more reasons to have a gun in my medieval fantasy settings. Rogues don't deal as much damage as many think. I mean, I guess that's on a spectrum, right? I think rogues do. I don't agree with this statement. I think rogues do a lot of damage. I think rogues are kind of flashy in the fact that they're rolling like 50 dice at a time. But you know, they only get to swing once, and I think there's things that you can go around that. Now, you could be a fighter and do just as much damage or more damage than a rogue, especially if you're equipped with like magic weapons, and you have the right feats, especially with like great weapon master. You know, you could really do some damage. Whereas rogues, you know, you kind of want to go like the assassin route and get automatic crits, and how you do homebrew crits is all up to, you know, the party members. But I definitely think there's a way of making a rogue that can be devastating. Now, rogue by themselves, I think what the problem with rogue is that they're kind of one note when it comes to combat. I don't think it's so much as like a damage thing. Sneak attack isn't hard to use, but it can be less impactful than many players hope. But one high damage attack, I mean, you could fix that. But yeah, I do agree. I think the sneak attack is easy to hit off, but it does make you play a certain way, whereas like you have less freedom, less mobility and flexibility when it comes to doing that. Monks have their tricks, but can struggle to make it count. I think you guys have heard it from me many of times. I downright just think monks are the worst class to play in D&D. I think they're cool. I love the idea behind them, but they just don't do enough damage. They almost seem like they have too much at their disposal, to where like you never really get to use their utility as well as it should be. I think monks need to be buffed by a lot. I think monks should be able to one man an entire army by themselves. I don't like that. I feel like monks and fighters should be just parallel, right? Monk is the only class that uses like freaking like key points and stuff like that. Like they're the only class that does that. Every other class, so like think about it. I mean, you got their martial classes like the rogues and the fighter. You have the arcane classes that use magic and stuff like that. Then you have the religious classes, and then you have monk, which is like just by itself. They should just be OP. They should be way stronger. Warlocks have reliable damage, but not much else. Yeah, Warlocks, there's not much else to say about that. You can only cast so many spells, and you really want to do it to make sure they die before you. You don't got the spell slots to be creative with the things that you want to do. Barbarians are devastating primarily in early game. I think this is a big thing with martial characters. I don't know what this picture is. They have the Lich King fighting a barbarian, and I mean, in a D&D setting, this makes 100% sense, but this is World of Warcraft. I mean, it's cool, sure. Do barbarians fall off later in the game? I think barbarians can feel like they fall off, especially if they're not given like magic weapons or magic properties. I think barbarians are fine. Martial characters in general tend to fall off late game because you can just end up fighting. I mean, I say fall off. Martial characters don't really fall off. They just become less fun because you're kind of just whacking at things and nothing's really happening. You spend a whole turn to make 2 attacks, so that could be a bit like deflating unless you want to do a little more, add a little flavor to everything. But not everyone's as creative, and so it can be tough. It can be tough to make those things happen. Let me skip this song. This song was getting a bit quirky. Warlock summons Greater Demon. The party flees in terror. Party flees in terror as the Greater Demon feast upon the party. How strong can the Greater Demon get? Right? Does that back out at like let me look at that. How strong does Greater Demon get? Welcome in, Siberian. How you doing today? How you going? What's going on? Deadly space combat? Okay, we gotta watch this. I'll put that to the watch later for you guys. We'll watch that. We'll react to that next week. Summon Greater Demon. A Shadow Demon or a Barlugra? I mean, yeah, especially at low levels, this stuff will F you up. If you're playing in a pre-cut, what is this, Red Dead Redemption? If you're playing in a pre-built campaign, then yeah, definitely, because you're not going to go above a level 11. Hi, just in for a short bit. Hey, well, I appreciate every bit that you're in. Wink, wink. When Rangers made number 7, considering how much the community loves to bash on Rangers. That's pretty good, if you ask me. Many consider Rangers one of 5th edition's weakest classes. Yeah, but like I said, I think when it comes to combat prowess. If we look at the thesis of this, every D&D ranked combat ability. When it comes to combat ability, I think Rangers have a ton of agency. A lot. That can go from in combat to out of combat. So I definitely see Rangers, they can be considered a mid-class in that aspect. Most of the Ranger subclass provides significant damage buffs, exactly, both in early game and later on. They're also some of the biggest beneficiaries of buffs over the course of 5th edition, yeah. So they can influence the fight a lot. Wizards have many strengths, but clear weaknesses. Yeah, it can be pretty easy to take out a wizard. They are one of the most flexible, like I said at the beginning. They have the biggest spell list. However, they deal with less reliable damage. So the thing about being a spellcaster, being a wizard, is you're really, really good. And this is what I've noticed with the wizards that I play with. You're really good at crowd control or AoE, right? Just like in MMOs. You're good at taking out trash mobs. You're good at taking out just the rooms up into the boss. And then you get to the boss, and then that's when you want the rogue and the barbarians. That's where they're gonna shine, right? And that's when the warrior is gonna come out and do a lot of damage because the martial characters are really good at single target. The wizards are really good at this, but then wizards can do crazy stuff. You can mix and match. You have those friends that min max, or like they like to cast like bug swarm and then polymorph all the bugs, or animal shape all the bugs into elephants and have them drop on top of the boss. And so there's a lot of weird creative things you can do with it, but I do agree, like when it comes to single targeting, wizards can feel like they fall off, and then you have spells like disintegrate, which you can make me eat those words. Druids have good spellcasting and shape casting, but they conflict. They do conflict. Druid is probably one of, if not the hardest class to play in D&D. I feel bad because the only people I've really had play Druids are people that were brand new to the game. And it's okay. They can do what they want to do and they have fun. I had one person who was really good at playing a Druid, and he was new to the game. Actually, you guys know him, Fabio. We've rated him a couple of times, Fabio the chicken. So he played a Druid, and he seemed to enjoy it. He liked it. They got some really strong spells, and they can turn into martial beast. And I feel like the beasts do fall off after a certain point, but it is good for extra health and being tanky. And when it comes to combat, damage isn't always everything. So Druids have a very, very good agency and presence when it comes to when it comes to combat. I think Druids are probably, in my opinion, should be higher than 5 with how much they do. I think I disagree with the conflict part. I do see where they're coming from, but I think it's a matter of just like time management. You can have spells, concentration spells like lightning. Still gotta love that Circle of the Moon, bro. Say less. Of course, man, dude. Circle of the Moon is the shit. That's like, I don't even know. I wouldn't even play the other one. You turning into beasts and you still get to have spells. That's the way to go. But like Druids, like, I mean, you cast like lightning and then you transform. You have those concentration spells that go up, and you risk it for the biscuit, and you're doing tons of massive damage. The Druids are versatile and powerful classes, helpful during and outside of combat. However, when in a fight, their abilities can get in each other's ways. Yeah. Sorry, it's been a long day. Particularly in the wild shape focus Circle of the Moon subclass. I think I wouldn't recommend Druid for newer players. But if you are going to play if you're going to be new to the game, look up a YouTube video. Look up a video or two. It goes a long way, and there's no shame in that. And it'll help you. You'll feel less of an idiot. You'll feel like you're more useful, and you'll have more fun because you're doing crazy and cool stuff. I mean, and I'm not talking about look up those min-max videos. I'm just talking about look up what are some of the best spells for Druids. What are some of the cool combos you can do for Druids, right? You don't need to go crazy with it. I mean, you can, but don't feel obligated. Druids are a full castable kit, yeah. So sorcerers, I love sorcerers. Just the wild magic sorcerers. I haven't seen a lot of other subclasses. Maybe I should run... what's even weirder? I run a one-shot every month. Every month I run a one-shot, and I have streamers come in and play in the one-shot. And I've noticed one of two things. I've noticed people like playing the same character over and over again. Which is weird because I feel like I would make a new character every single time. But they probably don't play as much D&D as me. And the second thing is that I still haven't seen any of these wacky cool subclasses from it. Matter of fact, I actually need to contact people. We're like, what is it? Oh my gosh. It's 2 weeks away from Project Odyssey, and I have not contacted anyone. I've procrastinated so long on that. That is bad. Matter of fact, there might not be a Project Odyssey this week. Maybe I just give myself a break. Or this month. Fighters are good at what they're made for. Yeah, that's a fair statement. The fighter isn't a complicated class, despite the existence of more complex and versatile subclasses. I mean, like, yeah, fighters are simple. Fighters are good for beginners. Fighters do what they do best, is fight. You know, that's what they're called. They're warriors, man. They go in there and they get the job done. You can't get upset about that. Clerics can do more than just heal. Clerics are busted. Clerics also, look at where we're at. Number 2 spot. Didn't I say clerics? Didn't I say it would be one of the like religious characters? I think clerics are hella busted, and healing, being able to heal and hurt people, not only is fun and a great way of playing playing the game, but it's also busted. So much agency can come out of healing. It's almost like stupid meta. I think people are scared to play healers because they don't want to just sit back and heal. I think games like World of Warcraft or maybe some other RPGs, they need to stop having it to where the healer just sits back and heals. But I understand why they have it that way, because if the healer could also do damage, like you're playing Final Fantasy or Dungeons and Dragons, you start to realize just how useless everyone else is. Because you literally, the healer gets everyone back into the fight. They get them back into the fight, and then they get to go and get their hands dirty as well. So yeah, clerics are freaking awesome. The first and only character I've ever been able to play was a cleric, and I had tons of fun. It was actually funny. I kind of nerfed myself because I made myself a pacifist, so I didn't even get to. I was still like one of the strongest people in the party. It was cool. I miss it. I reference that a lot. I really just want to play in a D&D game and not DM all the time. Paladins take the best of everything and excel at it all. No surprise here. This doesn't look like a paladin, by the way. No surprise here. But who am I to judge what a paladin might look like? No surprise here. Paladins are, I mean, they're the best of both worlds. They're as good as fighters, right? They can heal like clerics, and they have agency. They have agency spells like wizards, right? What's going on, Dragon? Howdy. It's a pleasure to have you in today, Dragon. How you doing on this mighty fine day? And you know, they also have they have agency similar to monks. You know how monks have stunning strike and stuff like that with their smites. They can go and do that. So it makes sense that paladins are number 1. Paladins of all that, they're literally a kind of a combination of all the classes, and paladins are super cool. Super cool. I think they don't fall off either, and not to mention, like, they're the one class that it's almost like meta to like make them like you almost like what are you doing if you're not making a paladin a mounted rider feat, you know, and then having a mount on top of doing everything else that you're doing, and it's built into your kit. You don't have to go and you don't have to go and buy a mount or find a mount from a store. Absolutely insane, absolutely cool. Yeah, but I agree. I think if you're looking to kind of excel at a little bit of everything, paladins are the way to go. But the other classes have just as much combat prowess, except for monks. I think you will struggle as a monk, and I don't recommend it. Be careful with druids, because they can be a bit tricky. You gotta know what you're doing when you're being a druid. Doing good, just chilling here before heading to bed for work. Gonna work on homebrew module. Good stuff, bro. I love to hear about that. Keep up that D&D hustle. Also, if they are a ancient paladin, you can add druid to the recipe. And that's the thing too. That's what pisses me off even more. I'm going to go back on my rant here a little bit. Is that monks freaking, no one can pull from monk. Literally nobody. Nobody has key points. Nobody can. A paladin can be a druid can be a wizard can be a fighter can be a warlock, but nobody can be a monk. And you want to know why? It's because monks suck in D&D. Damn it, man. Oh, jeez. So, yeah, all right, that was good. I've missed reacting and talking about this stuff with you guys. What do you think? We do one more D&D react, or we go straight to Dragon Age? Because we could react to that video what I saw at the beginning. What is this? Deadly space combat. Let me see this. It's 30 minutes. Never mind. This is for next week. We'll react to that next week. 30-minute video turns into an hour-long react for me because I pause it every 2 minutes to put in my get my word in. I want to look at some of this other stuff. Preview the swashbuckling vampires from Spelljammers. Hold up. No shit. I love vampires and I love pirates, bro. What? Say less. Okay, we'll look at this real quick. Spelljammer tomorrow, picking it up. Oh, damn. Yeah, I know Yami was excited about Spelljammers as well. I was telling Yami, I was like, man, my game's already like Star Wars. But Spelljammers will be a great reference for me. It's like I've already transmogged my game to play like Spelljammers. So hard. My game is such a modified version of... My homebrew is such a modified version of D&D 5th edition. Like, none of my friends wanted to play Star Wars. None of them wanted to play Star Wars. They're like, I don't know Star Wars. I don't know anything about Star Wars. I was like, bitch, you don't even know what a Mind Flare is. How you gonna tell me you don't want to play Star Wars? You don't even know what a Mind Flare is, man. You didn't even know what dice were before I freaking asked you to play D&D. So what did I do? I turned their medieval fantasy D&D game into my Star Wars fantasy. I just reskinned everything. So, fun fact: D&D Beyond is based out of Huntsville, Alabama. Oh, really? Oh, really? Vampirate? You son of a bitch. I love it. Vampirates. Oh, it says it up here. Damn, I thought you came up with that for a second. That's why you put it in quotations, because you were quoting. Yeah, let's look at this real quick. Dude, why is it only playing one song? There we go. Throws my CR homebrew. Throws my critical role 20. Holy crap. Is it are you saying challenge rating? I'm going to say you're saying challenge rating. Throws my challenge rating 20 homebrew Balanoth at a party at level 12. I fuck with that. I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that the DM should not kill the players ever. Now hear me out. When I say that, what I am saying is I will never ever make an encounter that will kill my players. I will never ever purposely put my players in a situation where I will kill them. Now, will I make it difficult? Yes. Will I make it challenging? Yes. Will I try to kill them? Yes, I will. But I leave that up to the dice, basically. If I roll 2 20s in a row and that kills your character, I'm sorry, right? If you roll a nat 1 and you needed those dexterity saves and you needed those saving throws, I'm sorry, right? Like I leave it to the dice. If I do put my players in a situation where like it's a no-win situation, I never kill them. I always like capture them. and then they get transported to another. That doesn't happen often. It's been there's been very few times in between and very rare. But yeah, I'll capture them, put them off somewhere. I'll be like, yeah, don't fuck with this guy. And then 3 months later, they'll kill him. We play like once a week. And they'll fight them. It's in like, maybe in 3 months they level up. Maybe in 3 months they don't level up. Depends on what they do. But it's never about, me. I always feel like my players should feel like champions. They should feel like heroes. And so I love to, I think in most fights, I do definitely make my player, like I can knock out half the party, if not a couple people in the party, but I won't. I mean, if you've seen Project Odyssey, you kind of know what I do, but I go a little bit easier on the people in Project Odyssey because most of the times those people don't know how to play the game. So I have to kind of like roll it back a little bit because the streamers tend to just make poor decisions, like really poor decisions. If the melee decides to get close and it eats an arm off them, whose fault is that? That's an interesting question. I know your question is kind of rhetorical in a way, like it's kind of like the sarcasm, a bit of facetious there, but I'm gonna push the brim of my glasses up and be like, well, actually. Yeah, whose fault is it? If I describe a freaking dragon, if I describe a giant crocodile to the party, and I'm like, this primordial being rises up from the swamp. As a goblin walks near it, it eats the goblin in whole. And like usually what I try to do is I will set them, like maybe they fought goblins like before they encountered the giant crocodile, and the goblins nearly killed them. And so to see this thing just absolutely one-shot a goblin is me being like, yeah, you guys are fucked. And then if a character decides to still walk up to them, I mean, I've been a DM for over 10 years, and it still amazes me how stupid people are. That or I'm a really bad DM, but I like to think it's the former. No, people are just really, they're just really ignorant and naive. I think from what I've learned is that like a lot of times a player, they're kind of selfish in a way. They're trying to think of like, how would my character act, or what would I do in this moment, and what would this look like? I'm going to try to, they're not really like, they're not paying attention to the story beats of the DM. They're not paying attention to the signs. They're trying to immerse themselves in their character, not in the world. And that's very important, right? Like immersing yourself in the world is very different than immersing yourself in the character. So yeah, if a character still chooses to walk up to the dragon to get their arm bitten off, I tend to not let them lose their arm. I will let them lose their arm if it's a story moment. So if it's like the heroes are fighting, and it's I like to think of my D&D game kind of like movies, right? And I'm looking for that movie moment, and the heroes are fighting, and someone has to stay behind, or someone chooses to stay behind to help their friends, and they decide to fight this thing 1v1. Yeah, I'll let him lose an arm. I'll take an arm from him there, right? I'll take my pound of flesh before we depart, especially if he's gonna survive. Yeah, I'll take my pound of flesh. It just makes it more cinematic. It makes it more memorable. You did something, you knew it could cost you your life, and you did lose something in the end of it, right? And I think that can create some powerful moments for you and everyone at the table. I mean, one of the characters would have a story with this monster, so they'd know a little about it, right? Yeah, and that's what. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, right? That's what matters. is the story, is like, what are your players getting out of it, right? And I think that's the other thing, like the juxtaposition to like what I was saying is, yeah, if a player if you're, I don't think you're a bad DM if you put a fucking Bahamut in front of your players and they're level 12, and then a player's like, ooh, I want to pet him. I want to pet the god of all dragons. It's just so fucking cute. Oh my god. I want to have him as a pet. And then you're like, yo, it's the god of all dragons. You lose a fucking arm and your head while you're at it. Like, and then the player's like, oh my god, what the hell? I tried this last week with a bunny and nothing happened. Like, I'm all for that too, right? Like, I'm all for, like, yo, know your place. Know where you stand in the street. Yeah, this is a game where we're all playing in, but you're no god. You don't get to just walk up on my NPCs. I slap you for that. All right, let's look at these vampirates. So, Spelljammer's Adventures in Space contains booze, astral manager. How do you say that word? How is this word said? Menagerie. Okay. Got it. Menagerie. Thank you, Ziberian. I actually appreciate that a lot. A book full of wonderful monsters to encounter. Okay, so vampirates aren't created in the same way as traditional vampires. Right, because if they're pirates, because in D&D, vampires have to have, like, they have to stay next to, like their where they died. They have to stay next to their dirt, right? They got to have their jar of dirt, like Davy Jones style in Pirates of the Caribbean. So if they're not created the same way, they are bitten by other vampires or cursed by some form of magic to acquire their undead existence. Instead, vampirates, they're really sticking with this vampires things, aren't they? Are husk of astral pirates who faced death and rejected its eternal embrace. That's a new twist on dead men don't tell no tales. But this refusal to go quietly into the realm of dead comes with a price. Vampires. So it's like those they're cursed. Okay, I can dig it. Most consume the life force of others to continue their unlife. Unlike their... Wait. What? What is that called? What? This is kind of ironic, but what is that called? They have to consume life force to continue their unlife. Okay. Unlike their bitely landlubber kin, vampires don't exactly extract the life from creatures by draining its vital fluids, an act that vampires look upon with distaste. Oh, okay, they're vegetarians. Instead, vampires can consume another creature's life energy using their energy drain. Stop! No! They made energy vampires. There's energy vampires in D&D. No! Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have energy. We have Colin Robinsons and D&D now. Fantastic. Spelljammers is from the 80s. We're throwing it back to how it used to work. Hey, I respect it, man. Bloodsucking vampires were so 2010. It's 2020, my man. We're talking about energy vampires. Like whenever you enter the room, you're totally bringing down the vibes of the room. But we're not all about that blood sucking, okay? I just take a little bit of your energy, right? You may feel a little bit of melancholy for the rest of the day, but you'll be just fine, tip-top shape in the morning. You know what I'm talking about? But I got you, bro. Like you. Yo, that's like a buffet for me, my man. But don't worry, I ain't gonna come at you in your sleep. Yeah, no sparkling. I just realized that chat is white on screen and this whole background is white, so that probably makes it really hard to see chat. I'll probably fix that for the future. Okay, all right. Energy. Instead, vampires consume energy life force. This trait can affect prey up to 30 feet away. The vampires. The vampires are very unique in that they're the only vampires to be able to drain other vampires. And restores some semblance of healthier and robust appearance, though never truly restoring life itself. Oh gosh, apart from their differing origins, the vampirate's energy drain is what truly sets them apart from other vampiric kin. No, stop. As an attack that can be used in melee or range, it's a deadly and useful tool to catch the players off guard. Dude, I swear they're about to say you can use it on other vampires. Oh my god. So they can do this from 30 feet away. So like, imagine this, man. Imagine an airship full of vampires, and they just do a drive-by to another ship. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. This is so funny. They just... Alright, I'm calm. They just pull up. No weapons, no nothing. And they just start being like, yeah, telling bad jokes. They do stand-up comedy. They read poetry. They just do a bunch of things, and they just suck the life. They just start singing and dancing. They go for the role for America's Got Talent. They practice for their audition, and it's just a bunch of energy vampires, just like crossing you, just drive by, and then everyone on the ship, they just feel tired, and they have like a quick 5-hour energy, and they're back to work. And then that's the energy vampires are flying away. They're all like, "Oh man, that was a good one, man. They didn't see it coming, man. They didn't see it coming, bro. We got them. We got 15 feet within them, and we popped." Excuse me. All right, what is this, Siberia? Let me put on the voice for you. Excuse me, sir. I'd have a snack. No. Range energy drain. Well, that was rude. Excuse me, my sir. May I help myself to a bit of your energy? No. He runs away. Takes it anyways. And the dude's just sitting there. Like, what a prick. Oh my gosh. No shot, man. No shot. All right. The trickiest part about stop. Energy drain is creatures reduced to 0 hit points by being attacked die instantly with no death saving throws. They're like, you thought they were funny? Oh yeah, you thought energy vampires were funny? Well, you die. The poor soul then immediately rises as a shadow. I think shadows are dope. I think shadows are like sick. I'm not like unironically, I love using shadows. Although the shadow is free-willed, they're still under the dungeon master's control. You just lose your character. This is a cruel end for a player character indeed. Do we have stats? Can I see how much energy drain damage they do? If it's anything like vampires and it's like a D6 or a D4. You know it's just like, it's like 2 D6s, guys. They're not gonna die by energy drain. Come on. These guys aren't scary. Unfortunately, they're not in the woods just yet. For swashbucklers has one last trick up their sleeves. When a vampire is reduced... Oh, wait, I already read... Wait. When a vampire... All right, we're talking about the vampires. Their explode trait triggers, reducing the vampire to a cloud of toxic dust. This dust deals necrotic damage to any creatures within 5 feet. Ex-vampire on failed Constitution saving throw. Oh, so they explode on death. That's really cool. That's really cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like I like that. We need more creatures that explode on death. Oh jeez, that's too good. That's too good, man. I love these guys. These guys, there's no way I'm not gonna put these guys in the game, but honestly, I'm gonna make so much fun of them. They're gonna be like, I can't stop thinking of what we do in the shadows. The main takeaway from this is don't go sailing in the astral sea. Why? What? What? You gonna get? You gonna get drained? You're gonna get drained by energy vampires? You're gonna feel a little fatigued? They give you mono for a day? Oh, too good. Alright, let's go play some Dragon Age. Vampires can be found in Boo's Astro Menagerie, one of 3 books I can read. Vampires are typically ply in the astral sea by number of shadows drawn from husk of their prey. Oh, that's cool. So they hang around with shadows. Okay, if they hang around with shadows are half challenge rating. I'm gonna say vampires or anything are gonna be anywhere from like 1 to 4 CR rating. Hopefully they have like different tiers of vampires. Like they have like, they have like the swashbuckler, the gunslinger, the captain. I hope they have like at least 2, because that'd be super cool. They do? Okay, good shit. For as long as the captain is in charge, their temperament is reflected in their crew. From bloody raiders to paralyzing, captains are great. I'm gonna have to get Spelljammers then. I'll get Spelljammers and we can look over some Spelljammers stuff on stream. We have a lot of D&D content to go over. Face mercilessly undead lost souls that seek rise tyrant captain. Woo! All right, let's go play some Dragon Age. That was good. That was good. That was a good laugh. I needed that laugh. Oh man. All right, we'll change that. They changed up the oh shit. They changed up the tags in Twitch. So instead of having preset tags, you make your own tags, and it makes me feel like I'm putting in the wrong tags, because I know the tags that I'm putting in weren't tags beforehand. I know that for... Oh, are you kidding me? I have the wrong settings on my YouTube. Whoop.